Hi, this is Timothy Zahn, author of Thrawn, and you're listening to Star Wars Reactions. Good for you.
There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
In 1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All of it.
One of resistance,
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
rebellion,
Rebellion is built on hope.
and redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Star Wars Reactions. We're back with another fabulous episode this week. It's going to be a blast. I don't even want to wait around to get this started. So let's get things going. My name, as always, it always is Aaron Harris. And joining me, of course, is my co-host, my buddy, my pal, my 3PO to my R2, the David Motters. David, brother, how's it going?
It is going. It's going really well, and excited here to record another reactions chat. I love these. Like we've always said, we love getting people on and learning more about their fandom and really focusing on them. So definitely ready to react, and looking forward to talking to our guest.
Oh, it's going to be great. I have been looking forward to this since I messaged him and we got all this set up. Our guest this week is no stranger to fandom in general. He has guest starred on several podcasts. He, of course, is part of the Album Cockpit Podcast, if you're a music fan. He has done some writing for FanthaTracks as well. The Star website there, and the only thing I can say that I have an issue with is he's a Caps fan, but I can get over that because he's just an awesome guy. So joining me and welcoming Ross Hollebon.
Aaron, David, thank you guys so much. Let's go Caps, but congrats to the Lightning for all the success they've had more recently.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the Caps are one of the teams I joke around about, but I really don't have much of an issue with them unless they're playing my Lightning. So I can get along with the Caps.
Yeah, we have the different divisions, and outside of the one time in the playoffs where we got you a little bit recently, it's been a little lopsided during your championship runs.
Yes, it has been. So, but hey, future's wide open at this point, so we'll see what happens. So we are doing one of our reaction chats this week, of course. So what that means for those of you new to the show, we're going to sit down with Ross and we're going to go through a series of questions and we're going to explore his fandom. We're going to find out what makes him tick in fandom and what he likes and doesn't like, how he got started in fandom. Basically just a way to get explore other points of view. Everybody has, fandom is so huge and so diverse. There's so many different points of view that, as I've said multiple times, and David and I have had this discussion a lot, Star Wars fandom has gotten so big. There's going to be stuff you like and stuff you don't like. That doesn't mean nobody's right or wrong. It just means you like Star Wars. And that's why we do these episodes, to explore each other's fandom, to learn something new, maybe get a fresh perspective that you never thought of before about fandom. And I thought, who better than Ross to come on and join us for this latest reactions chat. So are you ready, Ross?
Let's fire away, gentlemen.
So what we'll do is David and I will alternate back and forth asking you questions. I will get us kicked off here with the very first question of how and when did you get started in your Star Wars fandom?
I know the first film that I saw in person was The Empire Strikes Back. But I have a brother who's 5 years older. So because of that, I always got, whether it's music, whether it's movies, whether it's toys, anything like that, I always got introduced to stuff early. So I was 3 years old when Star Wars came out, but I knew Star Wars characters and I had Star Wars toys at an early age, and it just never went away for me. I still remember tying my Millennium Falcon from a tree branch and so it could fly, and just let it go and go back and forth out in the backyard. But it's been since the original trilogy, and sharing those moments with friends, family, everyone like that. And I think I'm just naturally a collector, probably like a lot of us. So from the time I was little, it was, okay, this figure is available. Oh, this McDonald's glass is available. All of these things, and like the beginning of that marketing push, that has probably led a lot of us into the fans that we are today.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Marketing has done wonders for Star Wars. George Lucas knew what he was doing.
Yeah. It's fun to, even reading his book, looking at the different documentaries of how it all worked. And, with Kenner, with anyone else involved, it was just like, it was everywhere and it was wonderful.
Oh yeah, I know. I see pictures of the shelves from back then because I didn't get into fandom till a lot later, heavily when it came to collecting. I see pictures of those shelves back in the 80s when the original trilogy was being released, going, oh my gosh, I wish I was around. Wish I wasn't overseas when all this was happening, because we didn't have that luxury over there. So
okay.
So I knew the movies existed. I had seen them, but we did not have the toys and all of that came along with it. They just did not make their way down south. That far south, I should say.
All right.
All right. David.
All right, Ross. What was it about Star Wars that appealed to you as a fan?
Just the action, the adventure, the what's next, these amazing characters and monsters and good versus evil, and, all the things that you're learning as a kid and trying to figure out who you are in being a good person. And hey, here's what the bad guys are doing. Here's how the good guys are counteracting it. Here's the opportunity as well for a strong female character to be in a lead, and seeing Princess Leia, aka Carrie Fisher, just owning her moments and getting to reflect on that and see like, oh, this is cool. They're all a strong team together. It isn't, no one's dead weight in any of this. They're all contributing and doing great things. I think that's what was always cool to me, just that teamwork in that family, and in this case, the found family, and how that evolves and you build trust with one another. So I think just those elements. And then obviously as a kid, it's just, you've got ships going with amazing sound effects. You've got these creatures, and anything that's going to make you stop and pay attention as a little kid is pretty awesome.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, well said. Aaron?
All right. Well, of course, Star Wars, has had a huge impact on the world as people become fans and stuff. So what has been your fandom's biggest impact on you and your life?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty common answer, but it's the community that has embraced me and that I'm a part of. Knowing, like, I have a music podcast that has its name taken from Alphabet Squadron, basically. Or I named it based off of Chasna Chaddock's character in the Alphabet Squadron trilogy. Mm-hmm. So it always ties in. So I can talk music with people. I can talk Star Wars with people. And it's just, if you're a Star Wars fan, and I think at least within our group, especially as you're looking at Coffee with Kenobi, Podcast Stardust, Rebel Base Card, Colby Cast, all of these mutual friends that we have. We haven't known each other as well, but we know each other through them. So I know that you're both incredible people just from that component of things, and we can all vouch for each other. So I think how we're able to extend the community and make sure that we've all got each other's backs and celebrating this thing that we love so much together.
Well said. Well said. That's community has always been the biggest thing about Star Wars to me. That's what I've always loved since I got heavily into fandom. It was the people behind everything, the people that were meeting the people, the other fans. It makes such a huge impact on somebody, knowing that there are others like you that just have a passion for Star Wars and for fandom and items that you appreciate as well. And I know that's been huge for my fandom as well.
And I think there's also, even elaborating on it a little bit more, like how lucky I am to have friends in the UK, having Mark with FanthaTracks, Mark Newbold, having the guys with Star Wars Sessions where, we're DMing people after each other after shows. It's Mark saying, "Hey, do you want to write this?" Or me pitching him saying, "Hey, can I do this for FanthaTracks now?" But then even helping one of the other fans on the Star Wars Sessions Discord, I had a 1-day ticket to London but couldn't make it, and he was looking for one. So I was just like, "Hey, face value or give me whatever you want. I want you to be able to go and enjoy yourself, and we'll figure it out later." And then Jimmy was super generous with what he did provide, and I get a small gift in the mail on top of that. So it's, again, just everyone looking out for each other, and the fact that it's international is even better.
Oh yeah. It's a global phenomenon. Just this past week was the week before we had the great joy of meeting people from all over the U.S., but also some lovely ladies that came up from Australia just to go on the Star Cruiser. So it is definitely a global phenomenon, and you make these connections with people, and they just last because you have that passion for the Star Wars. Everybody gets along because we know there's just that connection, that bond because of the saga.
Nice. All right. Well, no, well said, Ross. The community, we've really felt it over the last couple of weeks, particularly down here in Florida. So it's been really cool. So here's the next question, and this will be interesting to hear what you have to say. So this one is, do you have a favorite Star Wars moment or experience?
So what I'll share here, it was a few weeks before he passed. I was working for Reed Pop at Star Wars Celebration Chicago, and I'm going to check in one of the mornings down the side main hallway on the bottom floor, and it's only me, which is weird because it's like never that empty. I'm walking from the left. From the right side is this motorized cart coming with someone with a lot of hair. And as we get closer and closer in my mind, I'm just like, oh, this is Chewbacca. This is Peter Mayhew coming up. Mm-hmm. So just in crossing, no one else there. And I was just like, "Good morning, Mr. Mayhew." And he's like, "Good morning. Have a great day." And I'm just walking, just like, you know what? That's pretty awesome that I just got to say hi to Chewbacca. And, just a regular occurrence of the day type thing. But like, that was a special moment to me. And there are so many, just with friends, family, again, our community. But being able to reflect on that, especially with losing him not long after that,
Yeah.
that stands out to me as, hey, I was right place, right time, and felt pretty fortunate just to give a hello to someone that I really care about.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, Peter Mayhew, look, God rest his soul. He was he was such a nice guy. 'Cause I'm so glad you got to have an opportunity like that, because he's, as soon as you said motorized cart, I'm like, he met Peter Mayhew.
Yeah.
Because I saw him riding around in that thing at Star Wars Weekend several years ago.
Yeah.
And he just,
Well, and it's great. And we were able to, a few of us, including Greg McLaughlin and our friends, the Daft Prawns, were all just outside of Nashville at a convention maybe a month ago, where I got a picture. Monica and I got a picture with all the voice actors except Freddie Prinze Jr. of the main cast of Rebels. So that was an absolute highlight for me. But Amy and I went out of our way because the Peter Mayhew Foundation was set up there, and they still sell commemorative coins. So you make a donation and you get a coin back. So we both went over there and made donations to the foundation, which is still going on and doing great things for kids, throughout the country.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, the Peter Mayhew Foundation has done a lot of good, and I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. And I gotta say, I am uber jealous about your picture with the Rebels crew. Those are my peeps there.
I don't get that nervous typically about things, but that one I was just kind of like, oh my God, there's so many of them here. Oh my God, I have to take my picture. Just sit down and be cool. Stop being a dork.
See, that was pretty much how I felt when David, Dan, and Corey from Coffee with Kenobi met Felicity
Jones.
Yeah, I was about to say Felicity Huffman, and I knew that wasn't right. Felicity Jones and oh my gosh,
Alan Tudyk.
Yes, I just kept wanting to say Leaf on the Wind. Alan Tudyk. It's another fandom right there. I love my Firefly, but Alan Tudyk at Celebration that one time. You walk in and there they are, and it's just like ba-da.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Now, of course, you've said you've been in fandom. You started real young with the older brother, so you started knowing the characters before you even saw the movies. But over the year, we have seen Star Wars just in its fandom just change as times have changed, technology changing, movies, shows, so forth, just expanding and changing throughout the years. From your point of view, what has been the biggest change you've seen in fandom throughout these years?
I think just scale of access. Whether that's more stories coming out in print and buying books, comic books, obviously everything that's streaming and the internet and fan sites and, people who make a lot of money off of it, even just by causing controversy. We're part of a group that tends to avoid that. And I go out of my way to avoid that, but it's still, I love looking at different vantage points. And even if I don't agree with it, you can learn from it. I'm less likely to respond and say, oh my God, you're an idiot. Why do you think that? It's like, that would be interesting. I don't think that's realistic, but who knows? I'm not writing it. So who knows where it's coming from? But I think the biggest change is, it's what Gutenberg did with the printing press. The internet's doing for the globe. Everyone gets more information, and I've always been spoiled kind of living in big cities and being around things as they happen. So whether you're in America and it's more rural, or you're in a completely different country that has one computer in the city or the town or village, everyone has access to it now. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And that brings about things like Star Wars Visions and getting these different animation shops from across the globe involved and seeing how they tell a Jedi story, a Sith story. Any of that is just fascinating to me.
Nice. So quick side question. You mentioned just all the books, all the content coming out, plus, like you said, just access. But are you reading High Republic material?
I read the first phase and I loved it. And then I just started getting busy and it was just like, okay, there are books from all these different levels coming out. I think as phase 2 was coming out, The Mandalorian was starting or getting ready to start the third season.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? Nope. Mando's getting my full attention on this. I am not mixing it up and I will just get back to the High Republic. But I mean, that crew that they have creating that content, I love Claudia Gray, Kevin Scott, Charles Soule, Daniel Jose Older. All of them are just absolutely fantastic. And I love the work that they're doing. And I want to give it the proper attention when I can get back to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it looks like phase 3, I think they've really made a decision. And they said it at Celebration in April that they're going to pace it out a little bit more, give people time to really digest novels, comics, etc. And I'm glad they're doing that. And it'll give people time to catch up on phase 1 or phase 2 if they haven't done it. So anyways, I just wanted to ask you that. I was just curious.
Yeah. Well, and I want to make sure that I get Justina Ireland and Zoraida Cordova in there as well, because they're fantastic as well.
Oh, they are.
Oh my gosh. No, it is. I've been enjoying it. But like you said, it's been hard to give all of it full attention with Mandalorian and all that. So, okay. So next question, buddy. The Star Wars saga has themes that run through the stories, themes like redemption, hope, etc. And so what theme from the saga has made the biggest impact on you?
I think hope is the theme. Hope is Star Wars. Hope is, sometimes it's that like as things are at their worst and you're in the worst situation possible, hope is what makes you put your fist up or open your eyes or stand up to someone saying, I can make this better. So it's that, it's the spark that they talk about so often. And I think all of that is driven by hope. And then there's sub themes associated to hope is kind of how I look at Star Wars.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Hope is the biggie. And then they end up putting that right with episode 4, right? A New Hope. And they made sure to put that in and go from there.
Yeah. It has been a mission statement since they did that, right?
Oh yeah. It has been a staple in Star Wars fandom. It's just the idea that there is hope, hope in the hopeless situations. And I love that about Star Wars. Okay, so we got one more question before we go into what we call our speed round questions.
Okay.
So this one, of course, being, how do you feel right now about the current direction the saga is going at this moment? We've stepped back from movies. We're focusing on shows. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on across the board, and how that you've seen the journey as it's come along. How do you feel about the direction of the Star Wars saga?
I was so excited when they announced that Rey would be showing up again, and that the sequels are, they matter. Mm-hmm. And to continue to build off it, I think they are fantastic movies. I think there may have been things where it's just like, okay, you know what, this might have been able to be done differently if there were a plan up front. And I like to think Lucasfilm has learned from that, and that more of those plans are coming in place. Like, hey, let's write this more a little bit ahead of time. And I think Filoni and Favreau are showing that, and they've really been that anchor for things with The Mandalorian, and how, what Andor has provided, what Book of Boba Fett, which, again, I don't know that it was my favorite, but I loved it at the same time. And it is moving it forward, answering questions. How do we build to the next thing? And it's such a challenge for every streaming service right now. How can we get more out? How can we get more out? And I appreciate the fact that I think Lucasfilm has learned and is putting more into the planning. And I think that's the beauty of what's going on with the High Republic right now, is they got all of those minds together and they worked through things first. And I feel like they're going to start doing that more across the board right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love that. I agree with that completely, because they have, they started off with the story group and it just kind of was there, but now I think they're finally flexing their muscles and actually getting plans out. And I think, and you're exactly right, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have been the leaders in that, and they have championed planning and laying out the story before it's being done. And I think they've done a fabulous job in that. And you're right. I am actually quite excited to see what happens with Rey in these new movies.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the Rise of Skywalker, everybody's walking out, yay, Palpatine's finally dead again. And I'm sitting there going, okay, you destroyed the Sith fleet. The entire First Order is still out there. What are we going to do about them?
Yeah, they're kind of a thing.
They've kind of been the baddie of the last two movies, and you still got the entire First Order out there. We haven't closed the book on the story yet. I got to know what happens. So I'm excited they're bringing Daisy Ridley back, and they're going to be exploring some more in the sequel era as well, because there's a lot of story to be told, and there's a lot of unanswered questions after those last movies.
Yeah, well, and even getting more information to fill it in. I love the books so much, and Delilah Dawson has an Inquisitor book coming out, Rise of the Red Blade.
Yes.
Like, I'm so geeked about that. And again, just these elements going back, the film before any of the prequels, that's what I want to say. There's, 100,000 years, 1,000 years, whatever it is beforehand, like learning how the Jedi Order got started in the first place. Like, all of those are just amazing questions and quests to take us on to understand, how did we get here?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. They are. I mean, we've had this view of Star Wars of the sandbox, and everything has to fit in that sandbox, but there's so much more story to be told outside the sandbox that still all incorporates into that sandbox, that we've had tunnel vision into just one part of a larger galaxy.
Absolutely.
And I am so excited to see what stories are out there to be told. I mean, we saw that with Rogue One. Rogue One, yes, it played in that same sandbox, but it played just outside the line, incorporating itself into the main story. And it was incredible. And I love seeing other stories being told outside of the main story, because there's so much more going on in the galaxy. I think that's why I liked Andor so much. That's why I enjoyed Rebels, I loved Rebels, but even Resistance, I liked Resistance because it told the story outside the main story. It interweaved into it, so you knew where you were in the timeline, but it told a story of people outside the main story, and I loved it.
Yeah, and just different types of scoundrels. It's not hero it's just people trying to survive and to live their day to day. And you're getting that. And Kaz, maybe a little bit too Jerry Lewis at times, but overall it's just fun. Like if you go into the mindset of, okay, this is a kid show, but it's Star Wars, it's really fun.
Oh, absolutely. And for a kid show, it tackled so many deep cut issues throughout the series and they did it in such a way kids wouldn't have even realized kids were learning stuff without even realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
I keep going back to the Children of Tehar. We got these 2 orphan kids.
Yeah.
And you like the kids, then you're realizing it's because the First Order genocide their planet. It's like, that's a little deep for a kid's show, but it's there. And you deal with the emotions of that as well. And they just do those type of stories I just love. And I'm so excited to see more stories like that.
Well, and that's the edutainment ability of a property like this, where you get those for us, it might've been the G.I. Joe cartoon and, knowing is half the battle. Yep. You're getting these elements of your heroes and these entertainment figures, but they are teaching you something. So going back to mythology and, our buddy Dan Z, who knows it like the back of his hand and teaches it to everyone.
Yeah.
You have this storytelling perspective that's there to teach. And before anything was written down, that's how people were passing it along, was through the storytelling via mouth. Mm-hmm. So being able to build off of that, I feel so lucky about where we are right now and how much we're getting. Like it is such at a prime time of a Star Wars fandom.
Oh yeah, there's no better time than now to be a fan of Star Wars because of the amount of stories and content that's out there, and the stories are teaching, they're entertaining, and they're teaching, and this isn't anything new for Star Wars. David and I have this discussion almost every month when we do our vintage reaction series, and we're discussing the old Ewok series from the 80s.
Yeah.
And we sit there and we're just like, you grew up, we all grew up in the 80s, so we know all these cartoons, they were all about teaching kids stuff. This is how you educated kids a lot. And to see some of these stories from the Ewoks just being entertaining, but also there's a lesson being taught in every episode throughout each thing. And it's just, it's perfect. It's like coming home.
Yes.
All right. Well, that wraps up all of our questions, and we made it to our speed round. Our speed round is a series of 5 questions, which are just quick 1 or 2 word answer questions to just narrow down and explore fandom quicker. David and I will go through and alternate questions just like we've been doing, and we'll just fly through this. It's speed round, so just answer as quickly as you can. You ready?
Fire at will.
All right, David.
You're up. All right, I'll start us off. Favorite movie?
Rogue One.
Oh, that's the first time we've gotten that one. Love it.
Nice.
Love it. All right. Who's your favorite character?
Sabine Wren.
I like this guy. All right. David?
We were already very partial towards you, Ross. Now it's even more. All right. Next question: Empire or Rebellion?
Viva la résistance.
Oh,
love it. Love it. All right. What is your favorite moment from any of the movies or shows that have been released?
Season 10 or episode 10, season 1 of Andor. A 1-minute, 28-second monologue by Luthen Rail.
Oh.
It is the best written minute and a half of Star Wars in all of Star Wars.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Is it ever? Oh, yes. Whoa. Wow.
Okay. You can tell he is a professor. It's at Butler University, right, Ross?
Butler University. Yep.
Nice. Butler
So
Bulldog.
I have actually, within the past 4 weeks, transferred from an adjunct professor to the marketing and recruitment manager. So I have moved to the staff side in the College of Communication.
Nice, buddy.
Nice.
And I love it. And it's such a great school with unbelievable students and faculty and staff. Like, you talk about found family and being somewhere awesome. You know, any students listening to this, high school students, reach out to me and we can talk. We have great things going on there.
Oh my gosh.
There we go.
There we go. All right. So, okay. Last question in the speed round is favorite soundtrack or song?
So I'm going to give one answer that covers both. And it is Ludwig Göransson, The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And just getting that behind the scenes making of when they're listening to it on his phone for the first time, and you're hearing that Western style, like, that gave me chills.
Yeah. No, well said. I know the exact clip you're talking about too. Yeah. Who was holding the phone? Was it? Oh, it was him, right?
It was Ludwig.
Oh, Ludwig was holding the phone.
Well, you know, or maybe it was it?
Well, John Favreau was there, and so was Bryce Dallas Howard. So I think you're right. I think it was Ludwig holding it for them. But that was cool. Yeah, very.
And it's so unique. Like, we know that John Williams is the GOAT. Like, he's the greatest of all time. But to be able to come in and create something iconic at the level that the Mandalorian music is now, with everything that John Williams already has established, I think is just an amazing feat.
Oh yeah. Very much. You know, that's one of my biggest things with Star Wars is the music, because that's one of the first things that attracted me to the saga was the music. I've been a Williams fan since as long as I can remember. So so as the new shows started coming out, and music is always the first thing I've listened to, and it took some adjusting to not hearing John Williams, because everybody has their own style, but I have really fallen in love with what they're doing now. And it has just been, Ludwig has just done an incredible job on The Mandalorian. So, all right. Well, that wraps up all of our questions, and definitely I hope everybody learned something new and got a new perspective. Ross, I know you said you got your music podcast and everything. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and where people can find it, and how people can reach out and talk Star Wars with you if they choose to?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Aaron. The Album Cockpit Podcast is a Spotify podcast, and you need the app to listen to it because actual music is in there. So the real songs from the artists are on there. I get a guest who comes on, and we discuss whether it's their favorite studio album or most impactful or something that they have memories associated with. And we break down the album track by track. You know, nothing is out of bounds. We have done older music, newer music. Ashley Brienzo, the Star Wars artist, she was just on with me to break down the newest Foo Fighters album that just came out a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
So that was amazing going through that. And we both got choked up multiple times where it was just like, okay, we got to pause for a second. We haven't even fully digested this album yet. And we're trying to, as huge Foo Fighters fans, work through it. And it's very therapeutic in that way. But it's fun in the same way that you guys have people on to learn more about them and have an excuse to make new friends. I did it as a way to connect with friends who I haven't talked to for a long time, but then also meet new friends and learn new music as well.
Nice.
So that's the Album Cockpit Podcast. I also stay relatively active with it on Instagram. And my Star Wars account on Instagram is Popstar Indie. And on Twitter, I'm at Ross Hollebon. So those are the main areas. Or if you're interested to come to Butler University or for a tour or anything like that, reach out to me any of those ways as well, and I'll get you information.
Very cool. Very good. Very good. We will definitely have all those links in the show notes, and that way you can get a hold of Ross anytime you want, and to definitely give his podcast a listen to and enjoy the music.
Yeah, and we'll have to figure out what bands and or albums have been most influential to the two of you guys at some point.
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
Start thinking on it.
I just had like a half dozen jump in my head off to narrow it down.
It's hard. It's really hard.
I was going to say, it's going to be
hard. Yes.
Going to be difficult there. But we'll figure it out. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, of course, let us know what you thought of the show, and let us know what you're thinking. You can always follow us on social media anytime, anywhere. Facebook and Twitter at SW Reactions Pod, or Instagram and Pinterest and Tumblr, where our show notes will be, of course, all at SW Reactions, or email us anytime you want, swreactions@gmail.com. David, if somebody wants to talk Star Wars with you, how would they go about doing that, my friend?
Absolutely. Two places. The probably, well, I don't know. I guess it might be equal. Two of them. One is Twitter at David_Modders, MODDERS. Instagram, it's simply look up my name, David Modders. And again, I keep saying I'm going to try to post more, and I did before getting on here with you and Ross. Just started posting some more pictures of my trip on the Galactic Star Cruiser last week. And so I just kind of wanted to get my thoughts organized before I did that, and kind of recover from the whole trip. And so people can check some of those pictures out. And I have a lot more to post, and we'll just have some fun over there at Instagram as well. How about you? How do they get a hold of you?
Perfect. Well, the best way to get hold of me is definitely on Twitter at TAHarris121079. Always there, always up for a chat. So hit me up anytime, anywhere. Well, it's that time, gentlemen. Ross, you get to experience the joy, the excitement, the terror that will haunt your nightmares. My Star Wars dad joke of the week.
I'm so thankful that I'm still on here. I love this.
Well, when Aaron says, Ross, you get to experience, I thought Aaron was going to say, you get to be the guinea pig this week, and it doesn't have to be me, Ross.
No, bring this. This could be a daily post from you, and I would check it out.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I may have to make that a daily post. I don't know. We'll have to see. But this week, Star Wars Dad Joke of the Week, gentlemen. Why was the Stormtrooper unhappy with his iPhone?
I don't know. Why was the Stormtrooper unhappy with his iPhone?
Because it wasn't the droid he was looking for.
Where's that? We need like a Max Rebo sound effect here. Like,
Exactly.
What can he play that would work well here?
Yeah, we just need the door opening and the rain car coming out to get me.
Yeah, just the arm coming in like it's a hook,
Exactly.
pulling you off.
Gentlemen, Ross, brother, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. It has been an absolute blast talking to you and getting to know you more and exploring your fandom today.
Yeah, Aaron, David, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thanks for all the great work you do in the fandom, and thank you for celebrating so many of our good friends.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. David, my friend, this is blast as always.
Oh, I love it. And like Ross said, we've had so many different people on for chats. Thank you, Ross, for coming on with us, taking the time to do it. I love all your work too. And like you said, all the stuff with Mark Newbold and FanthaTracks and your own podcast now. And so all the best to you. And I was very thankful to be on with both of you tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we want to thank everybody for listening in. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Y'all are absolutely the best. We just can't say it enough. Y'all are awesome. Go out this week. Try to make the world a better place. Be kind to somebody. Just even a smile will change somebody's day if you give it a chance. So remember, this is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
Oh.
Well, we all right.
If you'd like to share your thoughts, you can email us at show@starwarsreactions.com for our show notes and the latest news from the Star Wars universe. Visit our website at www.starwarsreactions.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWReactionsPod or on Facebook at Star Wars Reactions. If you enjoy our show, please leave a review on iTunes. This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and the respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.